Welcome back to the Glint Standard. Today we're talking about getting out of Ryan's comfort zone. Didn't know I was going to spring that on you, did you?
No, just my comfort.
Yeah, no one else has one.
Nobody else has.
No.
Nobody else has an awkward moment
No.
of trying to get out of their comfort zone, huh?
Yeah, no one else gets comfortable.
Okay.
Actually, I think a lot of people get comfortable.
I think a lot
Which is kind of the point of this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think it's a struggle for a lot of people, and I would say a lot of. I know one of the things that I think about, right, is when I first came here, and I was like, I'm not a creative person.
God, that was
right?
a long time ago.
And wasn't it forever
I think
ago?
you were like 19 or something?
No.
Doesn't that sound right?
No. No. I wish I was. No, actually, I don't wish I could go back there. But no, it's when I first got here and I was like, I'm not a very creative person, you know. But then one of the things that I realized was like, you know, everybody is creative. You just really have to get out of your comfort zone to really get there sometimes, right? And I think it's a struggle for execs or, you know, people. I know we've talked about even in the past, like one of the things that we would do and in the office, and we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later, but we used to throw the CEOs into like the little school desks with like the, you know, chairs, and they had wheels on the bottom and they have to move around the room, and there wasn't like assigned seating and stuff like a normal business meeting. So it really pushes them to get out of that comfort zone and get really creative. And I think as an agency, it's very important that we do that often, right? Where we are getting out of our comfort zone, because that allows for creativity, allows for innovation, and it allows for all the good things that you want to see typically out of an agency come from us not being in the same routine or, you know, in that stuffy type of environment.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge benefit. And, you know, as you talk about, you know, why should you get out of your comfort zone, right? It's you can't grow if you don't. There's stagnation that comes with that. It can become really challenging, and comfort zone and fear a little bit can play hand in hand. And I think the more you grow in your career and just as a person in general, that fear starts to go away a little bit more. And because the comfort zone gets a little bigger. So the things you were afraid of before or uncomfortable with, you've done it enough now that, it doesn't really bother me. I can't believe that used to bother me.
Yeah.
But now the new things that hit, now we're out of the comfort zone again. It's a continual growth cycle that never ends. I mean, I have it. Everybody in the world has it. It doesn't matter what it is. There are some of the most successful people I've known in my life. You put them in front of a yard game, like, what is it called?
Cornhole?
Like cornhole. Cornhole works. And they're just not athletic at all. And super uncomfortable. Get super embarrassed. They feel like that's a basic thing. I should be able to throw this to here.
Yeah.
And most people can do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Might be able to sit and talk in front of, 200 people, one of the smartest people ever meet, any point of your career, right? But you put something as basic as that in front of them, scares them to death. So everybody has it. And I think that's the thing to remember is everybody's uncomfortable at some point, and most people are empathetic to it.
Yeah, and I would say, you kind of talked about the career pathway, right? And that growth that comes out of that. And I think one of the important parts that I've always found with getting out of your comfort zone is really knowing where that's at, right? So I think a lot of people, they know how to play into their strengths really, really well, right? When they get really uncomfortable, it's because it's a weakness. But I've always been taught, like, surround yourself with people who can fill in those gaps and build that team mentality, right? Because at that point, you don't necessarily have to get super uncomfortable because it is their comfort zone.
That's exactly the challenge with teams. Right there. Teams are a huge benefit. But when you are utilizing a team to try to overcome or hide uncomfortableness, it will catch up to you at some point, or the team will get sick of it. And that's the challenge that you have to watch. It's why you have to be self-disciplined enough to constantly push yourself.
Yeah.
To get out of those comfort zones. And, at the end of the day, the biggest challenge with that is in your head. Oh, everybody heard me stutter. Yeah. Oh, I just paused for 5 minutes. It was 10 seconds.
The reality of it is,
right.
It's not as big of a deal.
Yeah. And nobody cares as much as you think they do.
Right.
Those uncomfortable silences, they're not as long as you think they are. And you just have to be aware. People aren't looking at the opportunity to go, "Ooh, you're way uncomfortable." Right. Caught you. It's just something that's inherent to all of us.
Yeah, and I think the right culture, surrounded by the right culture, especially in work, isn't going to be in that mentality where they're looking for you to fail, right?
Right.
They're looking to, how do I support? How do I help you succeed? How do I continue to add to that growth? Right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And so they're always looking for opportunities rather than to point out like, you just stuttered. It's hey, one thing that you might consider is that you say a lot. And especially when you're thinking through things or thinking through your next thing, and you say it a lot because more than likely you haven't planned out what you're going to say,
like a filler word, right?
Yeah, and you're just trying to talk, and really the reality of it is you say it so quickly because to you it feels like there's space and there is none. So instead, just pause.
Yeah,
instead of saying
I think, and you've probably seen with some of the people you've managed as well, it's you can tell when people are uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. The key is sometimes you got to go, you know what, I see you're uncomfortable, I'm going to take this. It's going to be super easy for me. Doesn't mean I'm not uncomfortable, but I'm showing the confidence behind that to make it happen, right?
Right.
Where sometimes the answer is, I can see you're uncomfortable. I get it. At the end of the day, let me tell you what's really happening here, give you perspective on it. I'm not going to change your comfort level, but you have to push through this. So go do it. Yeah. And be uncomfortable for a little bit, because then as a leader, you're not going to be uncomfortable with that anymore. And that's how you start to grow. And don't become stagnant. And don't become, bored at your job, things like that. And then you start seeing people promoted around you.
Yeah.
That's a big piece of it too. Because then you're going to be frustrated. I'm the smartest person in the room, but why does Joe keep getting promoted around me? Joe's moving forward, and we're dealing with his uncomfortableness where you got to step out of the shadows a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's always a challenge, especially as a middle-aged person, right? It's one of...
Who are you talking about?
Me. My age group, right? We're not right out of college.
You're also not middle-aged.
But we're all... Yeah, I know. I'm feeling the grays coming in, though. I'm telling you, it's there. But no, we're not right out of college anymore, right? We've been in the industry. So I've been in the industry for over 10 years. Right. And then you have that, and then but we're also not looking at the end of our career going, oh, I got to retire sometime soon. We're in the middle. So we're middle-aged. And so
middle careered,
middle careered, yeah. But when we're looking at that, and then somebody gets passed, we get passed up for a promotion or something right? I think some of the time is we haven't dealt with the challenges that we're facing in those uncomfortable situations. Whereas other people, that's an ease. I think that's a hard pill to swallow when you're in that middle age group, because it's I've put in all this work and all this effort, and I've been in the industry, I know my stuff, but then I got passed by somebody, especially if they're younger than you. You kind of,
or they're not as knowledgeable, because that happens, right?
But if they're good at that one skill set that's needed for that particular role above you,
I will share this with you. If you
have share it with everybody.
Okay, with everybody. If you're multi-talented in a lot of different areas, and you're being pushed to move forward, and then you can't get through that hump of pushing forward, that's what holds you back. It's not the abilities. Where finding a multifaceted person is very difficult to do.
Yes.
So people that you want to promote them badly, because you know what can come from that. But they have to be able to see that, and that's that comfort zone thing that we're talking about. And that person is not skilled enough in one thing to justify bringing them up the pathway.
Right.
But they are skilled enough in a lot of things that makes them more beneficial than the person that just got promoted past you. If that makes sense, that person is highly skilled in one area, so that helps them advance their career. It will cap at some point unless they learn the other skills. But you have the advantage at the beginning.
So you've heard the phrase, a jack of all trades is a master of none.
Yes.
Right? But did you know that's not actually the whole phrase?
I don't know that, no.
Yeah, so the whole phrase is actually a jack of all trades is a master of none, but still better than a master of one. And so
I think that's fair. I can get behind that.
So it tells you that, like, even though a person could be extremely skilled in one particular thing, they're usually moving up through the ranks because they really are that jack of all trades. They can acquire multiple skills. They can acquire and adapt and build, right?
You can also help a team.
Exactly.
Because you can see different perspectives.
Exactly.
And jump into into. You don't have to be able to do it all.
Right.
You just got to be able to understand it and motivate and drive, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, you just have to be a jack, not a master.
Or just change your name.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, never mind. I'm changing mine. It'll be easy. So I guess, like, talk to me a little bit about, one of the things that I've always seen is if you continue down that cycle of constantly pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, yes, you're typically learning, but if you're always doing that, do you feel like there's always, like, burnout risk at that point?
I think burnout happens on both sides.
Okay.
If you're not expanding and learning, you burn out that way, right? You kind of fade away. And if you're trying to go too fast, too quick, and winging it is maybe the best way to say it.
Okay.
You'll burn out fast because you're going to constantly get pushback for the things you're doing. That's super frustrating.
Yeah.
You have to commit to it's not about getting out of your comfort zone so much, about getting out of it to succeed. There has to be purpose and intention behind it.
Okay.
If you do that, burnout will start to go away. When you first do it, you're learning skill sets and you're doing things that you're not comfortable with, you've never done before. That requires a lot of mental capacity and is draining.
Yeah.
And you still have to do your job while you're growing. It becomes very challenging.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier in the podcast, once you become good at that and get comfortable with that, it's not out of your wheelhouse anymore. Now you're back in your comfort zone and you get to live there for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you got to jump back out again. You have to continually grow.
So do you think this is maybe one of the best ways, like we call it thrown into the wolves, baptism by fire, all those good things
Right.
that sound just lovely.
Yeah.
It's never like
all the negative connotations. Yeah. Good luck.
Not frolicking through a bluebonnet field. It's baptism by fire.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
do you feel like that's really one of the? I mean, because you've managed a lot of people in a very long career. And so congratulations.
Like 5 years.
But no, like, do you feel like that is, you have found to be one of the best ways to do it is kind of push people into that uncomfortable zone and just kind of let them figure it out, give support, but not full support? Like, do you think that's really good for growth, or is it no,
not necessarily.
or is it
It's a tough balance.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong answer there. You have to read the people. And you have to trust that you're making the right decision.
Okay.
Are you hand-holding people through? That's not going to benefit anybody. It's okay to do that a little bit in the beginning and then go, okay, now go walk on your own.
Yeah.
But if you don't see them walking, then you have to start pushing.
Okay.
Right? But before you do any of that, you have to talk about where you're going, and you both have to want to go there.
And that expectation, really.
Because if you set that standard, whatever happens when it gets uncomfortable, you get pushed, you go on your own, whatever that is, the rewards and the challenges that come with that are based on the same goal. And if you don't have that same goal, that's where things get messy. Or if the goal changes for somebody.
So what happens if they fail at it? Like, just completely flat on their face?
I don't think they ever will.
Okay.
You learn. What do you think failure is?
I mean, it could be a lot of different things.
It could be a lot of things, right? So to me, failure is a weird word. Learn and grow, right? That's what it is. It's, I made a mistake. What are the failure that you want to define that as, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn from it and move forward. Nobody's looking for perfection. It doesn't exist. So when you're striving for that, that can cause a problem. You're looking for growth in areas, and you're looking for people not to step back. to the comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
Because you know long term it's going to be harder to get them back at that point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's hard to put this is the best way to do it with people. You just have to read people and know when to push and when not to push. Sometimes push when maybe they don't want to be pushed, because you got to see what's going to happen. Because as you grow in your career, you're going to be responsible for more impactful decisions.
Yeah.
Right? You have people working for you, people counting on you to, get paid and your lifestyle, right? And you have to take that seriously. So you have to push people out of their comfort zone, and sometimes you push hard and you see, do they break or not? Not to the point that it's devastating to the point of, I'm out of here. You don't want to do that. So it's a tough line to manage, because you got to see when things are difficult and you're at the top, who's pushing you? You.
Yeah.
No one else is doing it. And that's ultimately, if you want to be at the top, that's what it takes.
Yeah, I remember hearing a quote a long time ago. I guess it wasn't that long, maybe a year ago. It came out during
Seemed like
COVID,
a long time
so
ago.
yeah. But they said, like, you're the only person that's ever gonna care the most about you. You wake up with you.
Yes.
You brush your teeth with
100%.
you. Every single thing that you do, you do it with you. So if you're unhappy with yourself, it's gonna be really hard to get through life, because you have to be doing life with somebody you don't like. And so they were like, first love yourself, right? Make sure that you know who you are. And then from there, you're able to make better decisions. You're able to assess situations. You're able to do all those things.
Yeah.
So.
I think the hard part about that, it does require a lot of self-discipline. Outside influences affect people tremendously.
Yeah.
Family, colleagues at work, friends, children. I mean, you name it, could be your dog. It all affects you, and to act like it doesn't is silly, because it does.
Yeah.
And they are there, those groups and people that you bring into your life are there to support whatever decision you're making for your life, and be okay with it. No matter, are you changing careers? Are you trying to advance your career? It's hard. I just need someone to listen. But all of it should come from support. And you have mentors that challenge you with, are you trying to take the easy road out? Are you backing away because it's getting too difficult now?
Yeah.
And you want it, but you don't want to put the effort in. And people can challenge you on those things. And you need those people in your life too, who aren't friends, who aren't family, who are doing what you asked, even when it's difficult to hear.
Yeah.
And that's how you start to move forward, if you want to.
Some of the best people I've had in my life are the people that have, not necessarily, I mean, they just really don't have anything to gain.
Very true.
Those are some of the best mentors that I've had, because they're successful on their own. They don't really need me. And so I come to them and go like, hey, what should I do in this? And they're like, this is what I think. Like, you take it, leave it, whatever you want to do with it.
Right.
It really doesn't matter, and it's not going to affect me. So I'm just going to tell you how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Those are some of the best mentors to have. But
that's what a mentor is.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's it. There's no hidden agenda.
Yeah.
It's about growing and moving you forward the way you want to, and enjoying seeing that growth.
Yeah. Well, I know we have an entire podcast.
We do. It could go forever, that's for sure.
So we'd love to hear from you guys, though. What are some of the ways that you help get out of your comfort zone, right? Is it being forced into it?
That could be a great segment, too.
What?
Things you do to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, right?
I love that. Yeah.
And so if you guys have advice for other people, we'd love to share that on the podcast, or in the comment section below, and really build that community to be able to help each other out. So leave us a comment below, check us out, or just send us an email, agency@theglintstandard.com. Thank you guys so much.